So one thing that a lot of students struggle with is remembering the unit circle. So how I like to remember the unit circle is I just remember three different values. So I remember the values 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, and square root of 3 over 2. Okay. So now what do we do with these values? Well, if I were to ask you like the value of sine 30 degrees and cosine 30 degrees, it would be one of these three values. Okay. So well, since I know the unit circle, sine 30 is 1/2 and cosine 30 is square root of 3 over 2. Now, if I were to ask you what cosine 60 was and what sine 60 was, what would you say? If I were to say that sine 30 is equal to cosine 60, I can prove that to you because if we have a right triangle, right? So let's just say this is 30 degrees, this is 60 degrees, and let's say that this value is 1, this value is 2, this value is x, right? So we know that sine is opposite of hypotenuse, so the opposite is 1 and the hypotenuse is 2, so sine 30 is 1/2. And so cosine 60, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so we have adjacent is 1, hypotenuse is 2, so 1/2 is equal to 1/2. Therefore, sine 30 degrees is equal to cosine 60 degrees. Well, something special about it is that the angles are complementary, meaning that they add up to 90 degrees. However, this wouldn't work if it was sine 30 and sine 60 because they're not co-functions of each other. So if you see a like CO in front of the function's name, that means they're a co-function with, for example, like cosine, right? Cosine is the co-function of sine, and cotangent, for example, is the co-function of tangent, right? Okay. So if cosine 30 is square root of 3 over 2, then sine 60 is square root of 3 over 2 as well. So what about sine and cosine 45 degrees? Well, they're complementary angles, so we automatically know that they're equal to each other. And the last value that we haven't used yet is square root of 2 over 2, so we have square root of 2 over 2 for both. Okay, so how do we find tangent now? Well, tangent is equal to sine over cosine. So if we were asked to find tangent 30, we would do sine 30 over cosine 30. So sine 30 is equal to 1/2, and cosine 30 is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Well, if we divide that, we'll have 1 over square root of 3. Well, we can't have a square root in our denominator, so we'll multiply square root of 3 on both sides, and we'll have square root of 3 over 3 as tangent 30.